welcome to Kidmissing TV. I'm your host, Angelina Wilson, and this is the case of Sheree Magaro. Sheree went missing on February 22nd, 1987 from Kentmore Park, Maryland. She was 30 years old. She had brown hair and brown eyes, between 5'3" and 5'4", 140 to 160 pounds. She left a friend's home and disappeared. She was driving her 1976 gray four-door Ford Torino at the time. She was planning to drive back to her home in Harrisburg that evening. The night of her disappearance, there was a severe snowstorm in the area. Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, And the next day, her car was found in a field 100 feet west of State Route 213, 2.5 miles south of the Bohemia River Bridge, which is north of Cecilton. Hair, blood, and human tissue was found in the car, which had been burned. The medical examiner's office determined that human tissue to be brain and said she was not alive. The official cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head. Although they didn't have a body, they knew that. Because when your brain is in your car and you're not, that's not a good sign. People drove by there and saw a Ford Mustang with their hazard lights on in that area. And a man was talking to Sheree. In that location. And the car was in perfect working order, with nearly 7 gallons of gas, more than enough to get her to Elkton, where she normally stopped for gas. She left a 4-year-old son. The snow started falling in the early evening, and forecasters predicted a major storm. So she was only going to go as far as Kennedyville, Maryland, and stay at her boyfriend's because of the storm. Actually, she left his house, and that's when whatever happened. So I guess she did stop at his house after she left her friend's house. Oh, she was supposed to spend the night at her boyfriend's, but snow was getting bad, so she wanted to get back on the road to get back to her son, who was with her mom. And I do have a phone number for this case. Roger Castle is the primary investigator for the State Police Cold Case Unit. Oh, they thought maybe she stopped to help a stranded driver. But they got mixed messages from her family. Some people said, yeah, she would have stopped and helped someone, and some people said, no, she was very cautious. So they didn't know what the heck to believe. But her mother says she would have stopped. Quote, she would have given anyone a ride. She would have pitied them. The detective on the case at the time, Captain Larry Musell, said the mechanics went over the car. It started, it ran. The tires were filled, it had coolant in it. There was gas in the tank. End quote. They thought maybe her body had been buried in the snow, so they formed a line and literally pushed their way through 2 feet of snow. Oh, over a foot. Sorry. They did recover her pocketbook, her driver's license, a tube of lipstick in the field as they trudged through. Well, to get her tube of lipstick and her driver's license, they did a pretty darn thorough job of trudging through over a foot of snow to find those small objects. They would have found a body. Her ex-husband is a person of interest. She had full custody of their son, and they had been divorced about a year. But Musell said, quote, they had the normal divorce and custody problems. We looked at the ex-husband very hard, but nothing ever came from it. In a recent interview, Michael, the ex-husband, said he and his ex-wife parted on good terms. He even traveled all the way to their state police barracks from his home in Harrisburg twice to take lie detector tests. I think it's safe to say he didn't do anything. He said, quote, police said whoever killed her, she knew her killer. It was someone from that area. I was in Harrisburg, a good 90 to 100 miles away. What's the motive? Why would I kill her? He can rule himself out as the killer, but everything else confuses him. Quote, you can't make sense of something like that, he said. She did nothing wrong. You're never going to get an answer. I feel guilty because if we were still together, she wouldn't have gone down there. Her mother said, quote, it seems like yesterday that she was still here. She was vivacious and outgoing, so friendly. Interestingly, she had gone to visit Brown a number of times, but when they tried to contact him, they couldn't. Some think she was dumped off the Bohemian River Bridge, which was undergoing reconstruction at the time of her disappearance. Detective Musell said, or Sergeant Musell said, there were no tire prints or tracks or anything by the bridge. We took dirt samples and grass samples to see if the car was driven in any other area, but it wasn't. The construction workers looked the best they could. They said she couldn't be in there. There's a lot of theories that go on whenever we do have a homicide, he continued. You speculate and think, could this have happened? If you don't have a body, where's the body? We searched the fields. We searched the woods. We searched the river. We had divers in the river. We had divers in by the bridge. We searched the new construction by the bridge, all along the highway from where we found the car up until Elkton. End quote. And of course, the biggest hindrance that they had to deal with at the time was the snow. I think the biggest hindrance now is lack of a body. And a man attempted to use her credit card at a Sears store in Bel Air, Maryland to buy a television. But the clerk kept the card because it was maxed out. Magaro, that's her last name, tried to use her credit card. And when a crew cleaning the road, after the snow was all gone, months later, recovered another credit card of hers near Whitehall Road, about 10 to 11 miles north of where the car was found. Nothing else was recovered. I think about her 4 or 5 times a day, said Sergeant Yoltz. I don't know if this case will ever be solved. If it's in the Lord's will, he will expose the killer before I die. End quote. And the cold case detective said, quote, every time I go down that way, I think, Sheree, where are you? If you have any information in this case, maybe you were driving down that road on that horrible snowy night, or I'm just getting back to the phone number. Here we go. Or know somebody that talked about it, whatever the case may be. Oh my gosh. Sorry. I'm trying to get my... There we go. So if you have any information, like I said, and maybe you were, like I said, riding down that highway that horrible snowy night, or somebody started talking because they were drinking too much or something, and you might know what happened to her, or might know someone who you know was in the area, who you think is possibly, for whatever reason, a likely suspect, please call the Maryland State Police at 410-653-4200. That's 410-653-4200, or email mspccu at msp.state.md.us. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you again on Friday. We have a case of an unidentified. I wonder if they've gone through some unidentifieds to see if they could find her. Actually, we have a double unidentified. It's a case that I've covered before, but I have a lot more information. Thanks to a Redditor who literally made an entire Google document about it. So I have a lot more information than I had the first time that I did the case, and I will link that video in the end cards of that video on Friday. So please join me for that. Come on. Why is this not? There we go. There we almost go. Come on. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna move this over here. Cause I have something to do on the other channel. So that's it. Again, very disturbing when you find hair, blood, and brain in someone's car and someone's body isn't there. It's disturbing when you find that anyway, but at any rate, God bless you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you Friday. Remember, #Kidmissing Road to 1K. So please subscribe. Thank you so much. Bye, guys. God bless you.